Hello, everybody. Today we are going to talk about this very interesting topic that is referred to as the adjective order. Whenever we put an adjective that modifies a noun, sometimes we have, several adjectives that go together, right? And there's a proper order to do this. Now, this doesn't mean that if you do a different order, people won't understand. People understand, it's fine, but there is an appropriate way of doing it, and we're going to talk about that today. Now, before we talk about the adjective order, we have to talk about a couple of things that also, in a way, help us build the the structure, okay, that are not adjectives, but and yet they do affect the way that you present your sentence. So, for example, at the beginning, before everything, and I'm going to do this in order, and then we're going to do a couple of exercises so we understand how we can build this. Okay, before we start with the adjective order, we have to understand a couple of things. Beforehand, we're going to talk about what the quantifiers are. Okay, what are the quantifiers? Okay, now the quantifiers are the ones that indicate how many of the noun exist. Like, for example, both, right? And then we have the noun. For example, we say both people. So we have both, which is the quantifier, and the people. It's the noun that's being affected directly by the word both. Now, both is not an adjective. It's a quantifier, and we need to indicate that in specific. Another example would be some of. Some of us, some of them, some of my plants that are in the garden, etc. Another one would be all of. Okay, none of. Many of them, etc., etc. The other one that we need to understand beforehand are also the articles, the possessives, and the demonstratives. Now, I'm putting all of these together. I saw no point in jumping and doing a whole topic on this, so I'm just going to explain what this is. So the articles, the possessive, and the demonstratives. So for example, the articles would be something like the person, the house, or the, however you want to do it, a or an, a dog, a cat, and an apple, an igloo, whatever you want, etc. Okay, and the demonstrative would be something like this or that. Okay, that situation, that road, this store, these, those, them, etc. The next one would be the possessives, of course, like my sister, his job, etc. Those are the possessives, right? The other thing that we need to talk about again are the numbers or the sequences. Okay, the number or the sequence. Now, in the case of the numbers, it would be like saying 3. 4, like 3 people, 4 classes, or and the sequence would be something like, for example, third, third time, fourth place, etc. And then next, of course, it's also a sequencer, right? Next one, next student, etc. Right? The last thing, excuse me. The last thing before we get into the adjectives that I'd like to talk about are the quality of something, the quality or the size, okay, of something. The quality of the size or the size. So we have something like, in this case, it would be great, great movie, right? This is where we start. Actually, I'm going to group this into the adjectives, okay, the types of adjectives. Now we can get into this. So the quality and the size does modify the noun, like great movie. That's it's modifying the noun in a way, right? Wonderful song. When we're talking about a song, we say wonderful song. Another thing would be a clean car, right? Large tree, large park, right? Okay, small socks. If we're talking about a garment, a piece of clothing, etc., etc. All right, another type of adjective would be something like a shape. Okay, now Keep in mind that I'm putting all of these in order because we're going to talk about them in a moment. Actually, I'm going to number these just so we understand the order, and then we can modify that. We don't modify that order, but we can eliminate things in the middle. We'll talk about that in a moment. So shape would be something like round, flat, like a round table, a flat surface, a square, room, etc. That's when we talk about the shape. The next thing that we talk about would be the color. Okay, in the case of the color, sorry if it's underlining this, but down here the default is in English United Kingdom, so I'm going to modify that to English US, so it doesn't bother me there. Let me try again. Excuse me, it's saving. Sorry about this. Okay. So in this case, let's change it into English US, everything. Okay, color, there we go. So something like, for example, red, like a red chair, yellow road, black shoes, something of that nature. And then the last thing that we talk about is the material. No, excuse me, the one before last is the origin. Okay? This is when we talk about like a country, like a city, a state, a province, something of that nature. Like Japanese, Japanese cuisine, French food, Italian dressing, whatever you want to call it. But that's when we start the origin. And then the very last thing that we talk about is the material, something of which something is made. Okay, a material like, for example, metal, wood, not wad, wood, glass, etc. Okay, now all of these are in the order that we're going to do them. So the first thing is the quantifiers, excuse me, then the articles, possessives, and demonstratives. Number 3 is the number sequence. Then we start to jump into the types of adjectives. The first one is going to be the quality, size, shape, the quality or size, then the shape, the color, the origin, and then the last one would be the material. So I'm going to create a couple of examples here, and then we're going to do something to understand how we can modify it. So if we make something like, for example, quantifiers, let's take one of these quantifiers, and let's say sum of, okay? Example. We're going to make a big one. We're going to go from the most complex to the least complex, okay? Examples. There we go. From more complex to the least complex, and then we'll start modifying them. So the quantifiers, we could say sum of. Sum of. Okay, then we have, after that, we have the articles and possessive. Sum of the, we're going to say. Sum of the, like this. Sum of the, and then we have, we're going to talk about the number sequence. Sum of the 4, let's say. Let's use a number. Sum of the 4. Okay, there we go. We're doing some of the 4. Let's see, great. Some of the 4 great. Great, and then let's do the shape. Now, we're doing something very complex first, and then we're going to go into something more simple, so don't be scared. Then we have the shape. Some of the great, round, and then the color round, green, Japanese, why not? Japanese, metal, chairs. Oh, sorry about that. Chairs are some of the 4 great round green Japanese metal chairs are in my room, for example. Now this is something a little bit less complex. Now we can eliminate any of these orders, okay, and put something in there, and eliminate something and make it a little bit less complex, okay? So for that, we're going to go into this other, into PowerPoint that I have right here. Now look at this. These are the orders. So we have the quantifiers, the articles. We have exactly the same thing, right? We have the quantifiers, the article, possessives, and demonstratives, the number sequence, quality, size, color, origin, and material. Okay, this is the order. And then after that, we have, of course, the noun, right? So to do this, for example, if we want to take any of these, let's take this a similar example to what we used a few moments ago. Okay, let me find it. Okay, I'm going to take this. I'm going to put it over here where I can see it. You can't see it, but I can, because I want to be looking at the exact same thing that we were watching. So that we were looking at, excuse me. So let's take this thing, let's put the quantifier. Okay, so we've got the quantifier right here. Okay, and then in the quantifier we have some, right? Then we have, the next thing would be some. Oh, we have some of. That's the example that we have. And if you look at your notes, we have exactly the same thing. Some of, and then we have the article, which is the, right? Some of the. And then we have the number or sequence, right? In this case, some of the, or the, for. We put some of the for, right? And then we have, oh, excuse me, that wasn't the one I wanted to take. Some of the for, and then great, because it's the quality, and then the color, right? We had green, yeah, green. Sorry for taking so long and spelling this. I'm a horrible typist, apparently. Some of the four great green Japanese, and then we had the material. The last one, metal. Metal, and then at the end we had the noun, right? So let's put the noun over here. I'm gonna make it look a little nicer. Don't worry about it. Chairs, right? And that's chairs, and that's where we basically had the whole sentence properly done, right? The whole structure of the sentence, but in our case, something else that we're going to we're going to notice and we're going to build is the way in which we can build or modify these sentences. Now, the first thing that we need to consider is that the order has to be the same, but we can eliminate any of the ones in the middle, okay? So, for example, let's say, but we cannot modify the order. That's what we need to memorize and keep in mind. So, for example, we can say some of the four great green Japanese metal chairs. Now, this is very complex. It's really crazy and really unnecessary. So let's say that we eliminate the great. We eliminate this one. Oh, well, actually, I'm going to copy it down here. So we can see the way that we're modifying the sentences, right? So in this case, we're going to eliminate the quality or the size. Okay. Now it looks different, but it makes perfect sense. Okay, so some of the we're actually going to line it up on this side. Some of the four green Japanese metal chairs. Okay, and that's cool, and it makes perfect sense. Okay. Now let's take away some. Sorry for the noise. Let's take away some of the other adjectives. Some of the four. Let's eliminate the color. Some of the four Japanese metal chairs are in my room, for example. Right, and it still makes sense. But as you can see, what we're doing is we're still respecting the order. Okay, right? That's the most important thing. Now, in this case, the ones that we cannot take away are the articles. The articles are the ones that we're not going to be able to modify because then it doesn't make any sense. Okay, so let's try this again, and let's make it a little bit more simple, but always respecting the order. Okay, some of the Japanese metal chairs, right? And it continues, as I've been repeating over and over, it continues to make perfect sense, right? And these examples are perfectly fine. They are correct. Okay, let me move this one and move it up, just so we have a little bit more space. All right, very good. And then we have some of the Japanese metal chairs. Now, this is more something that would be more commonly said. You know, we don't usually talk in such complex structure. So some of the Japanese chairs. Some of the Japanese chairs. There we go. Right. Some of the Japanese chairs. So now we have only one adjective. Some of the Japanese chairs. But it could have been any of the other ones, right? It could have been. We could have eliminated the word Japanese from the beginning. Some of the four great green metal chairs. Okay. So the point I'm trying to make is that we can modify it in any way as long as we keep the same order. Okay, so let's add another one. For example, let's do the same thing over here. As I was saying, in this case, we eliminated. We didn't eliminate the word Japanese. That was always kept in. We eliminated first great, then green, then metal, and we kept Japanese. But again, you can eliminate any of these starting from all of these. You know, from the quantifier to the rest of the adjectives, you can eliminate as long as you keep the same order. That's the condition. Okay. So, for example, if we want to eliminate the quantifier, we can. Some of the great green Japanese metal chairs, right? So we're doing the exercise again just so you guys can see it. Okay. Then we have, for example, some of the green. Eliminate the gray. Some of the green Japanese metal chairs, right? Let's eliminate something else and see what it looks like. Some of the green metal chairs. Some of the green metal chairs, yeah. And finally, we're going to do just the last one. We're going to leave the color, okay? Some of the green chairs, yeah. There we go. And that's the way you do it. But you do not mix the order around. If you mix the order around, then that's when we start to do an incorrect adjective order. And that's basically it. If you want to do any more examples or anything else, please, or if you would like any other examples, please don't hesitate to send me a message right here in the chat, okay, as long as you keep this order. But before we go, we're going to do the final formula just so we are on the same page, okay? So the formula for the correct adjective order, okay, formula for the adjective order. Okay, and you can always keep this formula in front of you and use it as reference for the future in case you need to. So the first thing that we're gonna look at the order that we have up here. So keep this in mind. So we got the quantifier plus the article, possessives, demonstratives. Then we have the number sequence. Then we have the quality or size. And then we have the origin. And then we have the material. Okay, that's the correct order. In case you want to use it, you can always use this formula. Let me make it a little bit bigger so you can look at it. Okay, or you can even, this is the formula right here, or you can even take, you could take a screenshot of this, or you could also take a screenshot of this thing right here if you want to use it. Actually, let's do a really cool screenshot so you can do it. You can use it for future references if you need to. Okay, let's put this thing right here in the center. And then we're going to put a little plus sign right in the middle. Let's see. I keep this making it look pretty cool, hopefully. All right. I think it's well separated. There we go. This thing tells me where it should be. It's a little more separation because these needs to be separated again as well. I think that'll do. It'll be difficult to get them all in the right separation, but I think that's a pretty decent job. And then right here we're going to insert just a little plus sign so you can do the print screen and you could use it to your convenience. This is a difficult shape to. Yeah, there we go. Got the little plus sign right there. I'm gonna put it right here. Very good. going to copy this thing and put it over here. So you could use it as reference, and it would be cool, like I said, if you'd like to print this out and put it into a screenshot or use it as reference. This is a perfect way to do it. And just in case you struggle to find what the adjective order is, right? This would be a pretty good tool. Let's see, adjective order. It's aligned to something. And then let's make this thing a little bit bigger, adjective order, and let's modify the fill of this thing so you can use it for future references. I like this color, adjective order. Right there, so print this out in case you need it for in the future. So drop me a message if you have any comments or questions. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a wonderful day.